God hates me, all of that, and I'm just unlucky. You are not the victim, and that might be harsh, but you're not the victim. Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. This is my very best friend Anna.
And this is my best friend Sabrina. Babe, how are you today?
Actually, I'm pretty good right now.
Why?
Because when I'm with you, I always feel better. We're better together.
We do recharge each other, right?
You know what? I was actually not in a pretty good mood before coming to your house, and I feel like you're my social battery. Thank you.
Yeah, we recharge each other.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Today, guys, let's get right into it. We're talking about the fact that you're not the victim. Yeah, you're not the victim, and that might be harsh, but you're not the victim. And I feel like that's a big part of self-improvement. In order for you to develop and improve and see better for yourself, you have to accept that you are not the victim. And I want to throw to you, babe, when you think of someone living in constant victimhood, what does that look like to you?
They don't take accountability of their actions, and they are always pointing outwards. If they find themselves in a low moment, they will never look inwards and think like, hey, what's wrong with me? They will always blame the world and the outsiders, like, hey, you did this to me, or you also did this to me. This is why I am in this situation. But yeah, that's how it looks like. Like they always point outwards.
And not to say that sometimes you don't get in low moments, because I do believe you can get in some really low moments in your life where you didn't put yourself there. But to perpetually point the finger outward and say, it's the world, someone did this to me, my life is the way it is.
Because of
everyone else, because of my parents, because of my mom, because of my friends. I think that is constant victimhood, and
it is not healthy.
It is not healthy. And I think you were sharing a story of a coworker you worked with.
Yeah, so I used to work with this guy. He was 39 years old, and he was 39, and he was still blaming his parents for the skills that he didn't have.
Wow.
He was saying like, oh, I would be the best in karate if my parents would have pushed me when I was younger, or I will be the best playing chess if they kept taking me to classes. But at the moment, because I asked like, so why didn't they take you? And he was like, oh, because I didn't want it at the moment. So actually his parents were just letting him be and explore what he liked or disliked. But he was the one like, oh, I don't want to do these. And when he was 39 years old, he was blaming his parents like, oh, they didn't push me hard enough. Hey, you're 39, or in this case, yeah, he was 39. He was already an adult. He could
have gone to chess classes
and do it on his own. Like, why are you blaming your parents when you had, after 18 in Colombia, you're an adult, you're considered an adult. You had all this time to take care of yourself and learn all the things you wanted on your own.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not always easy to look inward, you know.
No.
I realize that it takes a lot of work to say,
what's
let me
wrong with me?
Improve myself. You know what? For me, I grew up in Jamaica. We're surrounded by the Caribbean Sea. And funny enough, I never learned how to swim.
Wow, look at that.
And my mom and my parents, they never take me to swimming classes like that. And then I grew up and I was hanging out with friends and I was traveling, and I saw how important a skill it was to be able to swim. It's a life-saving skill. And in my 20s, I decided to take swimming lessons. You know, I didn't blame my parents. And I'm not saying I always never blamed my parents.
Yeah.
Because there was a time in my life when I did blame my parents for some things. But then I recognized that I have the responsibility, I have the ability now to change my life. I can't constantly blame my parents for the things they didn't do in my life. And also, we have to think about our parents and their parents.
Yeah.
What were their parents like?
What are the things that the cycles that we're breaking, and are we taking action? It's not easy. It's not an easy task. And I think nowadays, with all the social media and all of the things that are distracting us, are taking away the concentration or the time for us to self-reflect and think like, hey, today this happened to me, or I don't like how these things are going in my life. What can I do to improve?
Yeah.
What can I do to change my
Yeah.
situation? We don't have the time. Like, we just mindlessly scroll for 2 hours,
And
we're not looking inwards. Like,
And
hey,
also, social media tells us that, hey, the other person is wrong, you're right, and just empowering people to perpetuate this victim mentality, and
Yeah.
that is so unhealthy. And then I think, in order for someone to step out of victimhood, I think it takes a lot of humility.
humility and self-reflection. Like,
Yeah.
and we don't like to admit that we're wrong. Humans don't like that. Like,
Yeah.
it is the natural state of humanity. Like,
Because we don't want to bruise our egos.
yeah, that comes from ego as well.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to recognize like, oh, I am doing this to myself.
Yeah.
It's easier to blame others
Yeah.
and blame the situation and
Yeah.
and play the victim.
Yeah, it's so much easier to say, you know what, I am being abused in my relationship because the partner is a bad man. But
who chose?
did you ignore the red flags?
Who chose that partner?
Did you ignore the red flags in the relationship and you got into the relationship? It takes two to tango, you know? So you see the red flags and you enter that relationship, and then you say, oh, you know what? He's a bad partner. I think I was
You were telling me about
a guy.
tell me a little bit about it.
So I remember I dated a guy a few months back, maybe a year.
Yeah, a year
and
ago.
on the first encounter, I said to you, "Oh, this is a red flag. He didn't plan the date. He didn't do any of the things that I usually like in a partner when we're just meeting or just dating." And you pointed out to me, like, you know, like, hey. And also I said it to you, like,
You recognize it.
I recognize the pattern and the red flags, and I'm like,
You still went with
but he's nice.
Let me try.
And then what happened? Surely it ended badly. Surely I was unhappy in the relationship. And I think I have done so much work, and I came and even cried to you. And
I told you, like, hey, at the end of the day, you chose it because you knew from the beginning. So you knew it, and I was also holding you accountable, because sometimes when the person is in that spot, we don't see certain things.
Yeah.
So but you knew, and I think that's why it was easier for you to
walk
away and move forward faster.
Because also, this is me stepping out of victimhood and, you know, taking accountability for my life didn't happen overnight. As you know, at the end of my day, I tend to reflect on the things that happened throughout the day, the things that I did wrong. And so after we had that conversation where you put back my words to me and...
you just told me exactly what you said. Like, hey, you told me that he didn't plan the date from the first time, so you knew.
And I reflected on it and I said, you know what, Sabrina, you deserve this, because not that anyone deserves to be hurt or abused or treated wrongfully in a relationship, but I put myself in that position. I am the one who did that to myself. And I just said, you know what, I brought myself here, and surely I ended that because I recognized that if I continued, I would just be in a cycle of bad relationships, which I did not want for myself.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work to get to that point, you know? Because some other people, and we see it a lot around us, like, they just continue in this kind of relationships or in a toxic relationship just to not feel alone. And they are not brave enough, or they don't self-reflect, like, hey, I am the one doing this to myself.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard pattern to break. And also sometimes we go through difficult things in our lives, no doubt. Sometimes people really hurt us, you know, you're really hurt, and in that moment it's hard to say, what could I have done differently, or what lesson should I learn from this situation, because sometimes we go through the same situations over
again
and over.
And again. Yeah, but it's because
we
you're not learning the lesson.
Yeah.
So hey, like, recognize the patterns and the things that you keep repeating and that they keep hurting you, and think like, what is the lesson that I should take from it, and what is the role I am playing in all of this? Why this keeps happening again and again? Are you learning the lesson? Are you recognizing the things that you're doing to yourself?
Yeah. And I just want to say there's so much freedom that comes from
being holding yourself accountable.
So much freedom that comes from that, and just liberation to say, you know what, I was wrong. I accept that I was wrong. I accept that my parents didn't do this, but I can change it. I accept that I entered a bad relationship. I accept that I continued a friendship. I accept that I wronged my friend and fix that or try to work it out. It's not always easy, as we said before, but it is so freeing to not have to blame others. So much resentment and anger and rage comes from constantly blaming others, and you just go around and spewing out anger and toxicity wherever you go, in your workplace, in your relationships. Everyone wrongs me and the world is against me. God hates me, all of that. And I am just unlucky. You just go around and just spread that to whoever you come in contact with. And I think we're in contact right now with someone that makes us feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, when the person is in this victimhood mentality, they keep blaming others. And when you blame others for things that they haven't done, people will get defensive, and of course people will react. And but hey, what are the things that you're doing to get people to react that way to you? And we've seen that even nice people that are very kind, that are reacting to this situation, but hey, what is that person doing? You know?
I heard a statement in my there's a proverbs I've heard before. He says, if everyone is calling you a horse, you might as well get a saddle. You know? So if everywhere you go, everyone is pointing the finger at you and saying, hey, something is not right here, and they're saying the same thing to you over and over, maybe it's time for you to look inward and say, you know what? It could be me.
But you know,
it could be me.
You know what happens? Some people never realize that, and they die with that mentality, like the world just hates me, and it's not me. I'm not in the wrong.
You mean some people live perpetually being a victim?
Yeah.
Wow.
They never realize, like, hey, it's me. I'm the problem. And I also want to say something, like, I appreciate the person that is watching this, because if you came here, it's because you're taking steps. Might be as small as watching a video like this, but hey, like, you are waking up and taking action. About taking actions, can you tell me a little bit about certain solutions, or what kind of things we can do to get out of the victim mentality?
I think one of the things we have to do firstly is recognize that people are flawed. Recognize that people are going to hurt you, you know?
And even ourselves.
Like no matter, we're very, very good friends.
Yeah.
And you've hurt me.
Yeah.
And I've hurt you.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you have to recognize that people are flawed, and that people don't go around with malicious intentions all the time just to hurt you or to do bad things to you, because we learn how to love each other when we learn how to love each other every day. We learn how to respect each other every day. We learn about each other's flaws every day, right?
Yeah.
And so people are not perfect, and so hold a torch of forgiveness for those around you. You know, the second step is to recognize that you are also flawed, and that you also will hurt other people. Recognize your patterns. Recognize the cycles that you are in your life. If you're constantly if you're constantly losing friends, try to think, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Start to look inward. And the last thing I will say to break the pattern of being a constant victim is what I do every day. 2 minutes of reflection. Just reflect on your day. What did I do today? What went right? What went wrong? How could I have improved in an area that has constantly been bad? Or how can I improve myself as a person, or change my life for the better. And it's not easy. It is
It is
literally baby steps.
Yeah, we've gone through that. Like, I think everyone goes through that. And it's not easy to recognize, like, hey, I want to improve these, and I am the one that is doing this to myself.
Yeah.
But hey, you have to take action. Even you said it, baby steps, but take action. And the first one is to recognize what role you're playing in all of this. So hold yourself accountable and take action. Like move. Imagine what you want to be or the thing that you want to accomplish, and take action to go towards that.
In that direction.
Yeah, in that direction.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say that we're not pointing the fingers at you.
No.
We're just saying you can't perpetually be the victim in life. It's not a healthy mindset to be in.
No.
It's not a healthy state to be in. And I know it's difficult to look inward and say I'm wrong. I know it's hard to take that step of humility.
Yes.
But it's a freeing place.
Yeah, and you come out loving yourself more, because that happens. Like, I think once you start holding yourself accountable, you start loving yourself more and respecting yourself more, respecting your own boundaries, respecting the people around you, and you will start seeing the world in a different light. Like, hey, maybe the world is not against me, and actually the world is a beautiful place, and
you find what you're looking for, actually.
you do, and you attract as well the energy that you put outside.
So if you're always saying people are against you, you will find people being against you.
Yeah, and you will find, even if they aren't, you will just read their actions as that.
Yeah.
And I want to let you know that we could be telling you all of this, but if you don't recognize it yourself and take action on your own terms, nothing is going to change. Like, you can listen to 10, 100 podcasts or watch 100 videos, but if you don't take action, nothing is going to change. So don't be the victim of your own history.
Wow, good. You can take the horse to the water, but you can't force him to drink.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's good. It's good to have you here. That means that you are taking action already, and we're happy to see you here and have you here. Please.
Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.